Guys, Candiland is a movie based on a novel. Uh, Most people might think that it's a project that maybe only took a year. We know the difference, but can you let my viewers in on your story?
Well, the story starts with Rusty. You should go first because you encountered it before me.
Yeah, I optioned it with Elizabeth Ingstrom about 15 years ago, and it's been almost getting made for about 13 of those years. It was always on the verge of happening, so
So, how do you decide 15 years ago that you want to put all that time into this one project?
I mean, originally it was just going to be the next thing I did, and then it just kept there kept being different directors attached. Always wanted Clay to play the lead, but just kept changing different. New director would get attached, and they'd bring new things to the project. And it wasn't until I made Down the Line that the opportunity for me to direct came up, and then I just said, if I'm going to do it, we're going to make it. We just got to make this movie.
Oh yeah.
And this guy, it fell apart. Or fell apart's the wrong word, but it was almost made once before, and he actually lost the 50 pounds, and then the whole thing collapsed. So I didn't want him to go through that again. So I was going to commit 1,000% if I signed on to direct it.
So, take us through that experience. Losing 50 pounds for a movie. What in your right mind were you thinking?
Well, I wasn't in my right mind. Well, to be honest with you, it all started 13 years ago when I first read the script. I was 20 and I'd actually quit acting, if you remember that. I'd quit acting because I was frustrated. I was going through some personal stuff. And he called me and he said, I have this script called Candyland. I want you to read it. So I read it, and he was like, I want you to do it. And it was like a taxi driver in terms of the emotionality. And at the time, no one had lost weight to that degree in a film. Like The Machinist hadn't come out with Christian Bale or anything like that. And I was a big fan and still am of Robert De Niro and all of those method actors. So that was my first thing. It was like, look at this acting challenge, look at this great story, I'm going to do it. And then The Machinist came out, and I was a little discouraged at first. But then 13 years went by, and it still served the story. So I decided I should commit to that. Yeah. In terms of process, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Yeah. Once you get 2 or 3 weeks into this, your appetite starts to disappear, and your brain functions. You think you're getting more clear-minded, but you're not. You're actually starting to lose your mind, and you get to a point where you want to keep losing the weight. You develop a psychosis, and it took me probably about a good 2 years to actually get over all of those psychological effects.
Is it something that you do again if the right role came along?
I wouldn't lose to that extreme again. I would lose some weight for a role, of course, if it was the right role. If Rusty asked me to do it again for a movie, I would do it. I would do it for him, but there's ways to do it where you can lose some weight and still have that effect, but not take the toll on your health. Because that's what it does. It's really the toll on the health. We did another film that's coming out in July called Residue, and for that I gained 15 pounds. Wow. So I was 190. I'm 175 now, and this is the first. 175 is my normal weight. It's the first time I've been my normal weight in 4 years.
That's crazy.
So I knock on wood that I haven't done any permanent damage, really.
Now, speaking of it taking its toll, your character in the film is a little bit out there. So do you think that the weight factor taking its toll on you might have affected how you played him?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I did a lot of character work to inform all the choices that I made. But then also, when your body's in that state, so many things happen that you could never conceptualize or use your imagination for. I don't even know how to explain it. I did get a lot of empathy for people who are malnourished or don't get a chance to eat the way we get to eat in North America or any first world countries like that, because it's like being in a waking nightmare. Like you can't sleep anymore. I'd sleep like 2 hours a night. So it definitely informed my character. Like that was really me out there. Like I kind of went nuts. I don't know. You cut in, Rusty. I mean, you saw the
I want to talk a little bit about the score in the movie. Sure. The musical score. It's got a big Vancouver connection to it. Can you tell us a little bit about the music supervisor and how you got him on board?
Tim Hart. He's a great local musician. What band?
Theory of the Dead Man?
Theory of the Dead Man, yeah.
Theory of the Dead Man. I'm like, he's a Gemini.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
That's not bad at
And
all.
he is the nicest guy.
He is, very nice human being. And we've got a whole bunch of local bands together and kind of threw them all in a room, and we would play different scenes. Clay would come in and just repeat some of the lines until that song "I Am King" came about. I just had him literally repeat it again and again and again, and they just started to play to it and show different scenes. So the music was very custom for the scenes, and it took a lot of time. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, the soundtrack and the music was a year's process. Like Tim was so committed, and we brought another local band in called Ghost Body, and they literally worked for an entire year with Rusty, and all those songs were original, and they poured their heart and soul into it. And then a lot of the score was done by a fantastic composer named Ben Peaver, whom exclusively did the entire score in our next film, Residue. And we've been just so fortunate with the talent and the commitment that everyone's brought to the table. We're really blessed.
It's cool. I mean, you guys you're living in Vancouver, and you're not only making this film in Vancouver, but you're bringing in Vancouverites. You're not bringing in, all these people from LA. I mean, Gary Busey, obviously, there's an exception there. But, it's nice that you're keeping it at home.
We used to go to the local pubs and venues a lot, and there's just a lot of talent out there. And I just see a lot of people not being given an opportunity. And I felt like this was an opportunity for some talented people. So brought them together and saw what happened. It was a great experience. I enjoyed it immensely, and got to meet lots of local musicians and push them too. Like it's very similar to when you work with actors, working with musicians, and like stretching them out of their comfort zone, because that's really the point of this film. It's like trying to be out of your comfort zone. So.
As similar as it was for you, was it a little more difficult to get in the role of directing musicians over actors?
Yeah, you just talk to them as artists, I guess, and what motivates them, and then I could just tell them the motivation of the characters and such, and speak in different terms instead of like in terms of colors or in terms of feelings and stuff like that. And, they always had something interesting to offer. Yeah, I'm just very delighted that it's both done, but that all that work paid off.
And that's a ton of work, as you said, over 15 years. What was it like to finally have this project come together and then you premiere it in Vancouver?
It was a wonderful experience, to be honest. It was one of the snowiest days of the year, and it was still a packed house, so it meant a lot.
No doubt.
We don't have very many friends, so it wasn't like it was just a local. But you give what you get, kind of thing. Kind of like we poured a lot into the local community, and they came up to support us.
When it does get its Canadian release, will it be straight to DVD, or is it on Netflix? How are we going to see it?
Yeah, I can't 100% confirm everything for you, but I believe everything's on the table in terms of DVD, VOD digitally, Netflix at some point. And we are planning a selected theater tour.
Cool.
So it'll pop up again in a couple places.
Good. Now, Gary mentioned to us that when he was on set, he's not much different from the person he is on a day-to-day basis. However, he does create a backstory for his character. So he's definitely an actor that gets in to that character's headspace. But what was it like to work with somebody who's, legendary in film, but you're trying to tell him what to do.
Yeah.
Was that weird for you?
Yeah, very, very. There was, there was moments when, but I would hold hands with him, with chat spiritually before the take, and he opened up to me about a lot of stuff in his life, and there was lots to use and to talk about and to get him in the right frame of mind for his character. There's a lot of opening up about being a dad, and he brought this very, it's you really forget he's Gary Busey when you watch the film, which is really a compliment to his acting, and he's just. But yeah, he was. I think he grabbed him by the back of the hair, just to get his attention.
Yeah.
But I'm like, as I'm doing, like, oh, you don't mind, but I really got to connect with you right now. So I kind of love it. I love this. Let's do this thing.
Oh, yeah. Such an actor.
Yeah.
He's just so positive too, right? Like he doesn't have a bad thing to say.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
That's awesome. I have one more question that I ask each of my guests. It's about your socks. I want to know what type of socks you wear.
Oh, boy. My wife's usually in charge. And I'm always about comfort. I got Tommy Hilfiger on. But sometimes I guess I work in Calvin Klein. The socks, okay, actually no, I got a better answer. I'm all about comfort, but when I'm at home relaxing, I only wear one sock, and I keep the other foot free.
Really?
Free and naked. It keeps the temperature regulated.
Yeah,
so
I get that.
It's a little quirk that I have. That's a little secret. So my
I
socks
like that.
You didn't know that?
Everybody has a sock story. What's yours, Rusty?
I wear black socks.
All the time?
Always. And I have some kind of weird foot lint thing that I do because it's all I ever hear about.
That's men. That's men in general.
Like on the carpet, you create it?
Oh, actually, no. Actually, I can attest that because we used to be roommates. You had an abnormal amount of foot lint. I totally forgot about that.
It's like
one of the joys of being a roommate.
Yeah,
Is this appropriate for an interview?
absolutely.
My son's latest game is he likes to pull his socks off. He's fun.
I totally forgot about that, man. I remember that vividly, actually. And it would be on your feet, like stuck on your feet, like it wants to live there.
You can tell exactly
it's so bizarre. Yeah.
So not only do socks comfort your feet, but obviously your feet comfort the socks if they stick with you. Right?
My feet are brutal to my socks.
Yeah.
So we were meant for each other because we're both
feet.
Misfits.
There you go.
Yeah.
You work well together.
I'm sure Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, and we're not comparing us to them, but they must have their own stories.
I'm sure they do.
Right? They've known each other forever. Like, we've been best friends for 15 years.
Yeah.
They grew up together. I'm sure they must have weird stuff.
Well, everybody's got weird stuff. You just don't hear about it. Until now. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.